Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment on the weekend show brought to you by Holocrunch Popcorn. On this segment today, we will be reviewing the boarding house system in Nigerian schools, as well as bullying and its implications on people. Now, the media has been awash with news about the passing of Sylvester Oromoni Jr., a 12-year-old student of Dowen College in Lagos, who was allegedly bullied, beaten, and forced to drink some substance which most likely have led to his passing. The school maintains that he was injured during a football game, but the father, who spent his last moments with the son, says that the son admitted that he was bullied and beaten because he was being forced to join some group by some fellow students. It's currently being reported that 3 of the students and the alleged suspects are being interviewed by law enforcement agencies, and also 2 teachers from the school are also being investigated and being probed by the law enforcement agencies. Now, the school where this happened has been shut down and sealed for now while investigation is going on. But this poses a bigger question. How long has this been going on within the school and in other schools? Now, the boarding school system has been seen as one where parents send their children to school to get independent, to become disciplined and understand a regimented lifestyle. But this, we are learning, has led to a lot of trauma, a lot of mental, physical, and even sexual abuse. And we will be having a conversation today to discuss what's going on in our schools, how long this has been going on, and what can be done to punish the perpetrators and also reduce the harm which is being done. And having this conversation with me, I have our teammates from the weekend show, Aisha B, who hosts our social media and entertainment segment. Welcome to this segment, Aisha.
Good morning.
And Ayo Adams, our sports presenter. Welcome back, Ayo.
Oh, thank you. Morning.
So it's the reason why we're doing this is something you all know, but everybody who I've spoken to in the last couple of weeks have mentioned that they have been bullied at one point or the other. And so while some go out and say, I wouldn't be a bully, some decide to wait their turn and then become the bullies. But regardless of whatever the reason is, we do agree and admit that bullying is bad.
Definitely.
Aisha, boarding school or day school, which of them did you go to, and how was your experience in school?
I attended a boarding school. Actually, at the time, it was a very tricky time for me, a very complicated time, because I grew up in America, so I came straight to Nigeria. I was like about 14, and I went straight into a boarding school. First time washing clothes with my hands, first time doing everything you can imagine, like with boarding. So my experience would have to have been very tough. I had to, grow a tough skin. But surprisingly, my boarding school, or let me not say surprisingly, the right way to do things is they make sure that there is no bullying. So to hear this about Dowen colleges, actually, how long has it been going on? And I'm sure they've seen such instances or incidents happen before. And it may not have led to death, but this is something that has led to that, and that is why now is a much bigger deal. So it is a serious problem here in Nigeria when it comes to boarding school and bullying.
So there are 2 parts of it, Aisha. In some cases, the bullies are actually your mates who just pick on you, and in some cases, the senior students who feel they are in a position of authority and a role to discipline you. What do you think causes this bullying that we see prevalent? And it's from primary to secondary school.
Yeah, at any stage. For me, it has to be something more of, when children aren't content, they start to have jealousy from home. They're not taught to keep their hands to themselves. Just love what is yours, maintain what is yours, and try not to reach out of that comfort zone. Because I think that's what causes bullying most times. You have jealous kids who are not content, who are thinking that what is yours can be theirs as well. And if not, they can pick on you and cause problems, So to me, what would you have to say about that? Because
For me, it's the retention of anger and unsatisfaction.
Yeah.
You mentioned rightly that wait your turn. In boarding school, it's always about that turn. It's like a lifestyle. So I went to boarding school, boys only, and right from day one, we were the juniors. We were the juniors till SS2. So we were receiving the stick every single time. I remember while we were at the GS3, where you do that extension, where it's only you and SS3s in school. It was hell. You know, someone would stand in the middle of the school, in front of the hostel, and say, one boy, and everybody, you just have to start running down. So they instill this fear, this mindset in you that it kept growing and growing and growing. That's why I say retention of anger. So some people from there, imagine being a junior from GS1, then juniors from then GS1, then you're the junior in GS2, there's no GS1, then you move GS3, you're still the only junior. So every upper level keeps picking on you, then you now get to SS3, woof, you are now the big guy, you're now the big dog, and then it's now more of, because I remember certain times in school, and when we got to power, when we got to 400 SS3, certain things started to happen, and I'm like, guys, this is wrong. But you can't, the most annoying feedback or response they give to you is, we were bullied too. So, except you're ready to pick a fight with a group of people, because the percentage of you who are not ready to do that and the percentage of people who are just waiting their turn, the ratio is not balanced. So it tends to get there. But now that was in secondary school. While I was in primary school, I wasn't bullied. But I was in secondary school, I was bullied like a lot, and I was quite stubborn. So what Aisha said is being able to say be satisfied with what you've been given at home. If you want to take my thing, I'd ask you why. I'd ask you why you want to take my stuff. It's not right for you to take my stuff. So I'd always put up this defense front, and it always led to, let's bend him to his will, to our will. So that it was repeated. So I remember times calling my mom at home and saying, "Oh, this has happened." But then, even when you report, if you take cases to the clinic, medical, that's why it's very, very. It's not surprising how the school covered it up, because it always happens. They know if you go to the school clinic to complain, they just wash it away like it's a normal routine you should go through. If you go to the hostel managers, the administrators too, that's why I was so glad that some of these administrators are part of the people that police are questioning. You would go to them, also mention these things. They'd also turn a blind eye. Like some of them even go as far as making statements such as, "Don't worry, you say if you get to SS3 and do yours." But now it is now dripped down to primary school. Like I said before, I never got bullied in primary school. I never understood what bullying was in primary school. Primary school was just all about going to school, eat food, play, laugh, come home dirty, and go back. But now you're back in primary school, secondary school, like lower level secondary school, and this is happening.
It's extreme.
It's extreme.
It's becoming extreme. So.
And look at what that boy was forced to drink. He's on his dying bed. He wouldn't lie to his father on that dying bed. So why are they still sticking with that particular line that it was a football accident? I'm a footballer. A football accident can't be that bad. It's impossible. Look at it. If you look at the pictures, the gruesome pictures, look at his mouth. You know that these have been drips of something toxic that has caused those reactions on his face. So it has dripping down so bad. And my fear is that if you look at now, this is the repercussion of certain actions, and it's still happening.
Talking about repercussion, and this does make a lot of sense. I'm interested in hearing some of you didn't get bullied in primary school. I was tiny in primary school. I never used to be, obviously, but I used to be really tiny and skinny, and I had the skinny legs that I used to call mosquito legs and all. And I do recall times when my elder brother had to come defend me because I was being picked on. And it's interesting because I went to a brilliant and great primary school. Yeah. And so there are two parts of this, the teachers and the parents. And so let's start with the teachers. I've seen teachers in primary school beat children like animals, where the children go home with swellings and sores. And in some cases, the parents come back to school to fight or to
question them.
Do you understand? To raise the issue with the school. And in most cases, the schools defend the teachers and all whatnot. And so, Aisha, do you feel, seeing how some teachers are harsh when it comes to disciplining children, and children can be stubborn, we understand, but seeing how some teachers discipline students, imagine a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old flogging a 10-year-old with that energy compared to what this child can bear. Do you feel most of these children see what the teachers do, then wait till they become seniors or class monitors, class prefects, and then do the same because they are visual and this is what they see. Do you feel teachers also play a role in empowering bullies?
Well, most definitely. I mean, that is nothing I can start to hide under the rug because, you know, they've shown us so much that when you have power, this is the way to exercise it. This is the way to show it and instill the fear, as Ayo had said. So with teachers, once they do see another student bullying another of their peers, they usually don't say, yo, stop it. You know, there are going to be consequences for this. Rather than just let it be and just maybe wash it away. And then once the teacher or parent starts asking questions, then they start to wonder, okay, maybe it was that friend or that person when they could have stopped it then and there. So teachers have a huge role to play in this bullying issue, this bullying problem, because I feel they also implement the same thing these students do to their peers. I mean, apart from them learning at home, the parents too have a part to play. The teachers there in the environment are also using the same forces, the same attitude, if I would say. You know, you see a teacher being upset with the child, maybe because of her background or where she's coming from or how her parents relate with the teacher. You see them exercising that on the children. And to me, I think that is very, what I say, animalistic to me. In fact, our school system here in Nigeria has a way of pressuring students with fear. You know, to learn, you have to be scared. To eat, you need to be scared. To stay inside and not play, you have to be injured so you don't want to play outside. There are no choices in schools or in education system apart from those that pay higher fees. That's a whole other angle. You know, Dowen College, as they say, allegedly they pay about $1 million for their school fees. So there should be proper care of these students. But to me, even if I'm paying 5,000 naira as a school fee, there should be proper care. But that is not how we gauge our education system here. And it's very poor already. That's a problem on its own. You know, to gauge school fees as how you should treat a child, good or bad, take care of the child. And it's ridiculous.
I totally agree with you, especially with the fact that it's no longer a case of the rich versus the poor. It happens in public schools, it happens in private schools, and the teachers do have a role to play. Some teachers are pretty much animalistic when it comes to
correcting a child or training
children.
them.
But some teachers are great. All of you here, off the top of your head, you can call one great teacher and
Of
one
course.
very wicked
Of course.
teacher.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, I remember my grade 1 teacher, and I know his name, and I remember Mr. Lago was great. But there's also this teacher that I remember who was horrible. But you mentioned parents, and even before this happened, I remember there was an actress in Nollywood, I don't know if it's Mercy Johnson or someone, who had an issue with a teacher, pretty much oppressing or bullying the child, and she went to school to confront it. And there was a lot of back and forth on people blaming the parents, blaming the teachers, and all. But coming to family, Ayo, we see, and you know this, at least 10 times in the 52 weeks of the year, we discuss domestic violence and sexual and gender-based violence on this show. Parents also have a role to play.
Definitely.
Where they feel it hardens you up. We've seen parents say, oh, you're a stubborn child. We are going to send you to this school so that they will deal with you and bring you into shape. And then the child comes home quite depressed and nothing happens. So the parents do have a role to play. But how much would you, and also children who watch their parents fight physically and see abuse, how much do you think that plays a role in the socialization of the child who now goes on to do it to other children?
So first is, like Aisha said, the way we treat kids. So from the bedrock of our upbringing as kids in Nigeria, there's always been this hardened exterior.
Yeah.
It's always
you need
been,
to be strong.
It's always been with a force hand. And then that's happening on one side. And there's also this thing about privilege where people think a problem is not a problem to them personally because it's not their problem. And that's how we got here. I mean, before you'd say when you send your kids to schools that they pay close to $1 million, you're safe. And now it's looking like it's not even that. Now at home you have parents, domestic violence. At home you have father and son altercations, and then you have these little kids that just look, and there's this psychological effect where kids retain a lot. And now is the place of animal plays and thing. That's something I've known since I was a kid. I'd never forget it. A verb is an action word, all those things. That's the same way with actions. In as much as they can take in written information, they are also looking at physical interaction happening. So if you see a child who has this, some of them still come from good homes, but you can't deny that element of domestic altercations happen, whether in their home or in their society. So this still leads to this general aggression of the public. While I was growing up, I was always scared to do certain things because I know that if my mom doesn't see me, someone around will definitely see me. But in this modern era now, everywhere is almost factioned off. There is no community paying attention to what he does and what she does and what he does and what he does. And that now stems into kids just doing things on their own. And the barrier then was there was no social media. And now you can still see this social media. Now I'm not taking it away from the parents, I'm taking it up to celebrities who are people's mentors, who people look up to. They get bullied on cyberbullying, and they also inflict those things on people too. Now you have crop of young generation looking at all these things. It's vivid. It's coming into their heads directly. It's dripping down like rain, and they're just taking it in, and
then putting it out.
Exactly.
And
they always want to replicate what they've seen someone do, and that's kids for you. You see kids do certain. You look at maybe your junior cousin comes, he dips his leg in your shoes. That's quite maybe 35, 45 feet, and you look at him, what's he doing? He's copying what he has seen you do. So the day he sees you raise up your hand and hit somebody, he will do the same thing, maybe not now, but it will be there, dependent on how he is mentally. But now, since you can't gauge kids' their mental capacity at that young age, you can't do them psych eval, you'll have to watch the kind of things that they're exposed to, so they don't become volatile. I mean, you see kids at 20, 18, 19, and you wonder, wow, you've done, when you see experiences that some of these kids have done, you ask yourself, I'm 27, I'm 28, I'm 29, I've not even delved into certain things. Like, my mind is not even as cruel as this.
Yeah, speaking of cruel minds, just to take us back to social media, this story of a boy in Michigan State in America, 15-year-old, he went to school with a gun, shoot out, and killed about 4 students.
And the parents got him the gun.
Yes, and the parents were the one that got him the gun. So exactly what Ayo's trying to say there.
Sad.
So Ayo, while we reel this in, what do you advise the parents? So let's start with parents. I'll hear your advice to parents on how to do better, and then we'll come to Aisha for what the schools should do to save.
I think it's paying attention to the kids a lot. I babysit my nieces and nephews.
Yes.
And I see what they pick from what I do. I was working one day and I slept off, and I came back and I saw my laptop screen not broken, but they've messed around with the work I was doing. And I asked her, like, why did you do this? She said, yeah, I saw you pressing, I'm pressing. So I cautioned her about that. There's another day, I was lying, I think around 2 a.m. I was about to finish something too. And I just heard the sound. I was so scared. I didn't know it was my little niece sitting down. She was singing an Indian song on Z World, which she had heard repeatedly. So, and we called her first timing, go to bed, this and that. But he now has to go back to the bedrock of the information they take in at the very young age. It is very, very important that I know the area we are now, the advancement of technology makes it quite harder to restrict them from certain information. But their parental guides, they are this and that, but there's still this physical interaction that they need. It's not about the iPads and the iPhones and the iWatches and the most glamorous gifts. What are you talking to them about? We think that as we've grown into this technological era, certain things should be left. No, they are kids. What kids should worry about, what kids should worry about, not certain things. So at the very young age, there's these things you just have to not by fear anymore. We've known that the kids of this new generation they won't get scared. They literally still do what they want to do. But then talk to them. Kids love when people talk to them, especially when they do something and they know that the repercussion is not them getting beat up. That's why they hide their emotions, and you don't even spot that they are going off the rails. But when kids do something, you caution them and you call them without, why did you do this? He says so. This is wrong. I read this story just within this time period. The woman said she saw her daughter complain that she doesn't want to go to school anymore, and she said, why? Are you being bullied? And she didn't say anything. Okay. Rather than concluding, she followed her daughter to school, went to the class, went to the teacher and said, why is everybody desisting from being friends with my daughter? And the little found out that her daughter was a big lady in the class who everybody was scared of because she speaks out and she don't play with, don't this. You know how kids are trying to establish this dominance at that little age. And right there and then she nipped it in the bud and said, now apologize to your classmates. Genuinely. Not I am sorry, and genuinely. And the moment she did that, and the girl said, hi, wants to be my friend, and everybody ran towards her. So that's a parent who understood, rather than just judge immediately, went to the school, got them the story. Because some parents will go to the school without hearing the story and they just go off. And I mean, because sometimes you see kids. Yeah, and I just think it's more, parents need to pay more attention.
Aisha, how should schools, what safeguards should schools put in place to protect kids when it comes to such situations?
I'm going to make it very brief. I believe in two things from one experience from my own mom. First thing is schools should try to, sort of pay these teachers well. So you don't have parents that have more money than the other parents trying to make sure that their child is taken care of, because that happens in school cultures where you have the parents giving money or some type of, benefits to that teacher to look after their child. So pay the teachers well in school, please. And then teachers should please pay attention. It's very important to notice these little things when it comes to, be invested in these children. Gone are the days where you see teachers and headmasters being truly invested in these children's growth, progress, knowledge, and everything. It's now more of, how do I get this for my child? How do I get them, be truly invested in this system. This is not a joke. It is no time to play around, so be truly invested. I think those two things are very important.
Thank you, Aisha and Aryan. To our viewers at home, we firmly stand against bullying. Everyone has a role to play in the fight against bullying and abuse, from the teachers to the parents and to even those of us, the adults, on social media. There's a lot of bullying going on social media in the name of, it's just banter, it's just a joke. A lot of people have blogs which they say is for information, but they create platforms for bullying. And so we want to stand clearly against bullying. We all have a role to play, and schools should protect their children, have officers whose roles are to be able to supervise, and there should be a reporting system for bullying. And also law enforcement should also prosecute people who are found guilty of this to stop the cycle of abuse. That's the much we can take on this segment, on the lifestyle segment. We'll go for a quick break, and when we're back, Chef T will be here with breakfast. Don't go away.